Hi. Remember a few weeks ago I did a video about being in Funky Town, which means that I was in a funk for my international friends. That means that I was depressed or sad or just not feeling my normal self. You know, I was not in a happy place. Life happens. It happens. So I did the little video and I asked a few questions, and one of the questions was to name some of your other favorite YouTube channels that you watch. And that was really cool. I want to thank everyone who responded to that one, because I'm always looking for new channels to check out and, you know, see what people are doing out there. And y'all had some really great ideas. So I've subscribed to a bunch of new channels because of that. And another one of the questions was to ask me a question, any question. And I said that I would answer some of them at some point, and this is that point. So I'm going to answer some of the questions. Won't be all of them. I have my computer here in front of me, so that's what I'm looking down at if you can't see it. And I'm just going to kind of scroll through all of the comments and read the questions and answer as many as I can, as best as I can. Okay? Okay, here we go. The first question is from Work of Heart Designs. Hey, Rose. And she asks, do Jason or Taylor craft? Kind of, sort of, but not really, maybe. That kind of thing. On occasion, yeah, they do. Sometimes Jason will play with, like, make little model things that you find at the hobby shops, you know. On occasion he'll do that. And Taylor is actually a very skilled artist. She can draw, like, not like you know, realistic portraits or anything, but she has her very own kind of whimsical style that's just, the detail that she draws is just incredible. It's, I've always thought she would make such a good architect, but she's not interested in that. But anyway, she can draw and she can sculpt too. When she was little, I used to give her Sculpey clay to play with. Okay, girl could make anything out of Sculpey clay, and it's totally right. Like real looking. I still have some of the little Sculpey things that she made when she was little. So, yeah, they both have skills. They both do some things on occasion, but not regularly or rabidly like I do. Okay, Laura Simpson asks, did you go to art school or are you self-taught? That would be a big fat self-taught. I did not go to art school. In fact, I went to college for about 2 weeks and opted out of that. Just wasn't for me. So, yeah, no schooling. It's just picking up stuff along the way. Bridget847 asks, do your neighbors run from you? Why, yes! Yes, they do. Quite regularly. The one in the back who sweeps his roof, I don't know how many times I have headed out the back door toward the fence so that I can ask him what the heck he's doing up there on his roof and why he's sweeping it, and I swear, as soon as he sees me coming, he disappears. He probably jumps off of his roof on the other side of his house just to get away from me. Understand it. I don't know why. And the ones, we have some new neighbors next door. They're renting the house because the homeowner got hauled off to the pokey. He's going to be doing about 5 years, I think. Anyway, they're renting over there, and I went over and introduced myself once, and the guy was, you know, like, oh yeah, I'll bring my significant other. I think it's a gay couple, I'm really not sure. But it's 2 guys, 2 grown men. And he said, you know, I'll bring him over and, you know, we'll properly introduce ourselves. I said, okay. Yeah, that was like a year ago. I'm still waiting. Of course, they're also the ones. One day they put their trash out on the curb, and this flock of vultures started like attacking their trash bags. Now you tell me there wasn't a body in those bags. I know, I know darn good well there was probably a body in those bags. I mean, what kind of trash attracts that many vultures? We got pictures on our cell phones. It was kind of crazy. So maybe it's best that they didn't come over after all, now that I think about it. Jean Bowden asks, are you as happy as you seem? Okay, that's an interesting question. And I would have to say, yes, if I seem happy on the video, I am happy. Does that mean I'm happy all the time? Well, heck no. That would be weird. I'm not happy all the time. I'm happy most of the time, and I take a lot of medication to make sure that I stay that way. But, no, I'm not happy all the time. When I'm not happy, I don't make videos, though, because, you know, no one wants to see you grouchy. I don't want to share my grouchy. So, if I seem happy, then yes, I am happy. Put it that way. Donna E-K-A-Y. Donna asks, how long have you been obsessed with old books? I have liked old books for like ever, as long as I can remember. Back to looking through my grandmother's bookshelves, I loved looking at all their old books. But as far as like being obsessed with them or accumulating them for myself, it's really only been within like the last 5 or 6 years. It's fairly recent. Even back when we were everyone was doing altered books, you know, cutting the little niches out and doing the whole altered book thing. I really wasn't into them much back then. So that's just been fairly recent. Okay. Esther Ferrara, in reference to my being in Funky Town, asks, have you started packing yet? Well, you will be glad to know, Esther, that I packed. I have moved out of Funky Town, and I am back where I belong for the time being anyway. I'm sure I'll visit there again someday. You know, I keep a suite there just in case. But yeah, for now, it's all good. Lisa Malterud, M-A-L-T-E-R-U-D. Lisa asks, do I have kids? Yes, I do. I have kid. I have one. My daughter Taylor is 23 years old, and she lives here at home and is in school and probably will be for a couple more years, and which I'm fine with because I like her. I don't just love her, I like her. I like having her around. It will be a sad day for me when she moves out. And contrary to popular belief, Jason is my husband, not my son. This confuses a lot of people, especially on Facebook when I talk about some of our antics. Everyone thinks he's my son. No, he's my husband. And I love him. Oh, okay, this is Bonnie, C-O-L-L-B-N, and Bonnie asks, where did you work before you retired, and also, what is the meaning of life? I got both of these. Before I retired, I'm not really retired, I'm just sort of perpetually unemployed. But I'm finally old enough that I can say I'm retired with some degree of believability. So that's why I say it. And it may not be a permanent condition. I may wake up tomorrow and have to go back to work, and I'm fine with that if that's the case. But for now, I feel like this is where I need to be. Before I retired, I did not have a specific career. Well, I did kind of, sort of. For about 20 years, I did bookkeeping. Very, very left-brained, you know. I just had bookkeeping mentality. I did crafty stuff too during that time. but I had more, I think my left brain was a little bit, I'm pretty equally right and left brain, and I think the left one was kind of the more dominant one at that time. So I did bookkeeping. I did for, my dad owned his own businesses, and oil field companies, and I did his bookkeeping. Then I was self-employed and did bookkeeping for other people for a while. And then just before we moved here to Houston a couple of years ago, I spent several years as a bookkeeper at a church in Lafayette, Louisiana. And then about halfway through my time there, I transitioned from the bookkeeper to the arts and communications administrator, which was like total flip from left brain to right brain. And it was just, actually it was time. It was just needed to be done, and I think I was a much better arts person than I was bookkeeper at that time. And my left brain was kind of frying by then. So the job that I had before I retired technically was the arts and communications administrator. And what that was I worked for the church, and I did their graphics, their media, their publications, you know, all of that kind of thing. I also did things like designed and helped to build sets for productions, sermon props, decorations for, you know, holidays, for Christmas, whatever. Sort of like an event planning. If we had certain events, did kind of an event planning thing. So it was like the best job ever. It was so great. I loved that job. I loved those people. I loved doing that kind of thing. And if I could actually find something similar to that right now, I would probably go right back into it. That's how much I liked it. Because it fed my creativity, but then I got a paycheck for it. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. Plus, I was in charge of the social media, so I just got to play on Facebook all day, really. It was just like the best job. Oh, I almost forgot the second part of Bonnie's question. What is the meaning of life? I got this. I got this. Okay, let me say, I got this for me. The meaning of your life, maybe something totally different, I don't know. But the meaning of my life is love God, love others. That's it. That's the meaning of life. You just do those two things and everything else just kind of falls into place. That doesn't mean it's perfect and happy all the time, but I'm content in knowing that I'm doing what I feel like I am supposed to be doing. Put it that way. So yeah, I got no questions about the meaning of life. I'm good with that. Okay, I got to answer this one. This one is from Phoebe. She asks, my question for you, do you remember most of your dreams, and do you ever create art based on something in a dream? Okay, the second part, do I ever create art based on something in a dream? Very rarely, and the reason is because, yes, I do remember almost all of my dreams, and they are bizarre. They are so weird and usually kind of disturbing. So I just really concentrate on forgetting them as soon as possible. And there is a reason for that. I have narcolepsy. So my dreams, you know, that just means that my sleep cycle, I don't have normal sleep patterns. I don't go into the 5 stages of sleep like you're supposed to every night, about every 90 minutes. As soon as I close my eyes, I hit REM. I am all REM all the time, all night, and it is exhausting. REM is it's the sleep where you dream, which you know, most people will say, well, that's a deep sleep. But the dreaming brain is as active as the awake brain. REM sleep is a deep sleep, but it's not a restful sleep. That's not where you get the rest that you need. So people with narcolepsy are exhausted all the time because we can sleep 20 hours and we will wake up feeling like we need a nap. That's what it's like to be narcoleptic. And don't confuse that with cataplexy. That's a different thing. It's related but different. When you see narcoleptics on TV, they're usually portrayed as just, like falling asleep in their soup. Just an instant, head down. That is actually not narcolepsy. That is called cataplexy, which is kind of a seizure disorder. And if you have cataplexy, you also have narcolepsy. So they do go together. But if you have narcolepsy, you don't necessarily have cataplexy. So I had a great aunt. She's the only other family member I know of that had narcolepsy. She also had cataplexy. And she would, any time of heightened emotion would trigger it, and she would just pass out. And you're just kind of temporarily paralyzed. When you sleep, you have the sleep paralysis, where your body sort of paralyzes itself so that you don't act out your dreams. People who walk in their sleep, that function's kind of screwed up in them. That's why they do that. But for most of us, we have the sleep paralysis, and that's what cataplexy is. It's just like random instant sleep paralysis brought on by heightened emotion. So my dad and aunt used to try to make my great aunt laugh. They would tell her jokes to make her laugh, because when she got really tickled, she would go down. And that was fun for them. And it usually only lasts, just a few seconds, and she's just temporarily, it's kind of funny to watch their face just, you can just see the paralysis set in, and then they pull out of it. So it's a rather entertaining condition for those who don't have it. For those who do have it, it can be a pain. It is, you can't control it with medication from what I understand, but fortunately I don't have that issue. I just have the dead dog tired 24/7 issue, which is much better. I do take medication for my narcolepsy, but you have your choice. You can take a pill to keep you awake. You can take a pill to make you sleep. Those are your two treatment choices. I don't like either one of them. But it is what it is. Do my best I can with it. So yeah, I do remember my dreams. I dream constantly, all night long. Instead of, I think normal is about every hour and a half. And mine is just one after another. And I wake up between each one, but not always to full consciousness. Sometimes, just enough to roll over and then start the next dream. And they're very loud and vivid and real. And I remember sometimes not all of them throughout the night, but like if I do wake up between them enough to be consciously alert, the next morning I will remember that one that I had, and then I always remember the last one that I had before I wake up in the morning. So yeah, dreams are not pleasant for me at all. Alright, Louie Lamb asks, her question is, have you ever been to the United Kingdom? Because that's where she's at. The answer is yes, I have actually. I was, I think, about 17 and went with my mother and sister. We spent 3 or 4 weeks in Western Europe, just touring all the different countries, hitting all the major tourist spots. And I think total we probably spent 3 or 4 days in London. I think that was the only area in the UK that we visited, and we did all the touristy stuff there. So yes, I have been there. Didn't get to see nearly everything that I would like to have seen, but did get to experience a little bit of the UK, and I liked it. I would go back. Okay, Lisette Merit. Please forgive me if I mispronounce names. That is such a pet peeve for me, and I do the best I can, but you just never know, so I'm trying. She asks, my question for you is, do you ever get intimidated by a blank white page and wonder where to start? Yes, I do. Not always, because sometimes I have an idea that's just looking for a blank white page. But sometimes I get in that kind of mode where maybe I haven't been too creative and I know that I really need to, and I look at the blank white page and just think, oh, what am I gonna do? And usually I do one of two things. I'll start doodling on it, or I'll just start throwing paint at it and see what happens. So yeah, I do get that white page syndrome on occasion. This one, here's a question from Magic and Julie, and she or they ask, why is embellishing pages so hard? She loves to make and buy embellishments, but working with them is stressful to her. Okay. I can kind of relate to this because sometimes it's hard for me too, especially if I've talked before about how I love to do backgrounds, and sometimes I will just feel like I'm supposed to put something on the background. You know, I get kind of caught up in that whole thing, and so I'll try to start embellishing it and putting other things on it, and then I'm not happy with it because what I really wanted to do was just keep the background. Sometimes I think that's why it's hard, at least for me anyway, is because I really didn't want to embellish it. And I felt some kind of invisible outside force that made me feel like I should, so I did, and it was hard. So I think if it's hard and if you don't want to embellish something, maybe that means you're not supposed to. If you like making them and buying them, but then actually using them is difficult, then you probably should ask yourself, why am I making them and buying them? Maybe you're making them and buying them because you need to offer them to other people. You know, that doesn't mean just because using them is stressful, I don't think that necessarily means that you shouldn't be making them or buying them. Because if you get joy out of making embellishments and buying embellishments, then maybe there's a good reason for it and you should explore that. Maybe you need an Etsy shop. Could be. Or maybe you just need to gift people with them because that brings you joy to make them or accumulate them. So gift them to somebody. But I say if it stresses you out to work with embellishments, don't work with embellishments. Because this is not supposed to be stressful. This is our hobby, our craft, our art. We should be enjoying it, right? Yeah, I think so. Kim's craft table. Hey girl. Kim asks, what do you like to do for fun besides crafting? I don't understand the question. What do you mean? There's other stuff? Obviously, I don't do much of anything besides crafting. I'm just not a real big go and do person. I go and do in spurts, really. I really like to go to offbeat places, museums. This is one thing I love about living in Houston, because there is, I could probably live here my whole life and not see all of the crazy fun offbeat places that they have to offer. You know, I've been to some really strange museums. I really love the Museum of Funeral History, which is really not as creepy as you would think. It's actually quite interesting and educational. But I've done all of the weird Houston stuff, you know, the art car museum, the orange show, went to the flower man's house. Oh my God, that was weird. You can just Google these things if you're interested. So I really like to do that kind of offbeat thing, you know, to see things like that wherever I happen to be, whether it's where I live or if I'm visiting somewhere. I always look for the off the beaten path, weird, world's largest ball of string type things. Those jazz me. I like that. I like movies. I like to go look at weird stuff. I like to go to thrift stores and junk stores and antique stores. Even if I don't buy anything, I just like to go look at the stuff. I don't really do any kind of sports or anything physical or, you know, stuff that makes me get off the couch for too long. I don't like those things. But really, if all I could do 24/7 was just to make things, I would be happy with that. And or even just dream up ideas for things. You know, that's always what I've said my dream job would be thinker-upper of creative ideas. I could do that because I like that. And then sometimes I like to execute those creative ideas. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just like coming up with them. So, let's see. Okay, here's a question. This is a noodle baker. This is from Melissa in Maine. Hey, girl. She asks, if you could go back in time with the knowledge that you have now, would you have followed a more artistic lifestyle from the start, or do you think your journey to where you are today is more important? Can't I just tell you the meaning of life? Because I know that one. That would be easier for me to answer. Okay. This is one of those weird, this is why I have trouble. I love science fiction movies, but I really have trouble watching some of them when they start doing the time travel thing. And it's kind of funny because what were we watching the other day? It's a cable show, Oblivion, that one with Tom Cruise. And there's sort of a, it's a cloning, there was, you know, it's just a weird, the cloning confused me, and, you know, where you can, it kind of, not necessarily time travel deal, but there was cloning, and it was confusing, and I thought that they went back in time, but it wasn't, it was the clone, and anytime we're watching a movie like that, as soon as the time travel starts, Jason looks at me and goes, "You're lost, aren't you?" Yeah, I am. It just, I can't process it. I can't process time travel. I don't know. I get really confused. Okay, this question is sort of in that same, you know, if you could go back in time and do it all over again, would you do it the same? Would you do it different? Knowing what I know now, I think I would probably do it different. I would probably, I don't know if I would go to art school, but I would definitely take an art class, for Pete's sake. You know, I could have at least done that. But that would totally change the outcome of my life. And I don't really want that. Not that my life is perfect, but I think it is the one I was meant to have. So, I think my answer would be that, yeah, I would be tempted to do some things differently, but I would hope that I would do them the same so that I could follow this same path. As rocky as it has been, I think it's the path I was supposed to follow. So, there's that non-answer to your question. Well, I can ride the fence like nobody's business. Stitch and May asked, my question is, why are you in a funk? I hope everyone is okay. Okay, rest assured, everyone is fine. You know, me and Jason and Taylor were all good. My funk had nothing to do with that. It was kind of I'm not even going to go into it, but you know, it was out there somewhere. Put it that way. But yes, thank you so much for asking, Megan. I appreciate that. But yes, everyone here is fine. We're good. Has nothing to do with that. It was an external thing, and it's much better now. It's not fixed, but I've figured out how to process it. So, and that's the key, really, for things you can't fix. You just have to learn how to deal with it. And I think I'm pretty much there. So, it's all good. Okay, here's a question from J. Nee, N-E-E, who asks, what is it that you are interested in doing next? We were talking about how you just you want to jump into the next thing before you've even finished the first one, which is really all me. And you know what? I don't know what I'm interested in doing next, But I wanted to address this question because I am constantly in search of the next thing, of what's next. You know, because there's always something new, and especially I always look through all those videos every time CHA comes around, you know, and they show all the new products and stuff that's out there. I'm really not so much into accumulating new products because, oh my gosh, you'll go broke trying to do that. So I don't have to have every new gadget or every new supply or paint or whatever, but I do like to see what's available and what people are doing with it to kind of maybe inspire me to try something new or different. So I don't know what's next, but I'm on the lookout for it, and I'm excited about it, whatever it is. I don't even have to know what it is, and I'm excited. I'm jazzed about that mysterious next big thing. Okay, next question is from Scrappin' Andy. Hey girl. She asks, how in the world do you manage to accomplish so much? I really don't. It might look like I do, but I really don't. I am not a go type A person. I'm very laid back and relaxed, and you know, I go through spurts of obsessive compulsive, you know, crafting, and then I go through spurts of just staring out the window, kicking back on the couch. So it may look like at times that I'm doing just a ton of stuff, but I'm really not. It's an illusion. Plus, you have to remember that I am, you know, retired. And also, I don't have small children at home. You know, my daughter, she is at home, but she's grown. So, I don't have nearly as many demands on my life now as I used to, which makes it easier to get a lot of these types of things done, these craft project things done. So, no worries. Don't feel like, you know, that you're not producing enough or you're, you know, up to par or something, because over here it's just one big illusion. I promise. Here's a question from Terry Magram. She knows who she is. I know who she is. Kicks my butt in Words with Friends on a regular basis. Well, let me tell you. Girl's got word skills. Okay, Terry asks, I was wondering if you ever take in-person classes. And the answer for that is yes, on occasion. It's rare, very, very rare that I do, like once every 10 years, maybe. No, not that infrequent, but it's several years between classes, mainly because a lot of the things that I'm interested in taking are so dang expensive. You know, these different art retreats and these jewelry workshops, and you know, it's like $150 for the class. Plus, it's usually someplace you have to travel to, and that's just a lot of money. If I had that kind of disposable cash, I would probably take more, but I don't. You know, we're on a budget over here, so I have to really, really pick and choose. On occasion, if I find some kind of a local class that's inexpensive, some kind of workshop, well, yeah, I will take it. But they're few and far between, and the reason is mainly just because of the expense. For me to spend like, you know, $150 on a workshop, it would have to be a really good workshop, something that I am totally crazy interested in, with a teacher who is like divine or something, because I have a hard time shelling out that kind of cash for classes. But you know what? There's just so much available for free online that I don't really feel like I'm missing out. And even the online classes that are not free that you pay for, they're very affordable. You know, you get what you get for the money is good. You get a lot of video instruction, you get written instruction, you get, you know, like a Facebook group or a Flickr group to share pictures, so you get a lot of, you know, community interaction. So it's not the same as an in-person class, but I am more likely to take one of those than I am one of these, you know, $100 retreat workshop deals. I feel like, you know, there's so much stuff, good stuff to be learned at a more economical price. So I'm good with that. Plus YouTube has just all the free resources you could need for anything. I am convinced that I could do brain surgery if I just had the right tools and a YouTube video showing me how. I know I can do it. I am convinced. Here's a question from Mary Lou, who asks, how long have you been making videos? Okay, I should be able to find that somewhere, right? Let me go back. Let me go back and look at my video list and see if I can find the first one. My first video was June 25th of 2012. So, year and a half. This June will be 2 years. Yeah, not quite 2 years. Oh, here's a good question. This is from Victor, who lives in Ukraine. And Victor asks, what is my personal style? How would I define it? Is there any criteria for it? Okay, this, my personal style, I don't really know what my personal style is. I think I would call it eclectic. It's a little bit of everything. Sometimes it's hard to see your own style and other people can see it more clearly. Because I've had people say all the time, you know, that, oh, they can glance at something and tell immediately that, oh, that Shannon did that. I don't see it. I really don't. But they do. So evidently I have a style and it's in there. And some people can see it, but I really can't. I don't, you know, I'm not really all about shabby chic, although I like shabby chic, but I don't do a whole lot of that kind of thing. I really think the whole mixed media has almost become a style now instead of a technique. There's sort of that art journal-y mixed media style, and I'm really not even totally that. I mean, in some ways, you know, yeah, but not completely. You know, I do a lot of recycling, you know, using recycled, repurposed stuff, make do stuff. So I don't really know how I would define my personal style or if there's even any criteria for it. I just do what I like, basically. And it may come out as a specific recognizable style of some sort, but I'm not sure what that label would be. So I'm just going to go with eclectic. It's just a little bit of everything combined in a way that ends up being me. So there. Best I can do with that. Here's a question from Ross Jones, R-O-S Jones, who asks, have you made your own workspace just for you yet? No. I haven't. I'm still in my guest room / art room, hunched over the bed, working. But you know what? The way I look at it, one of these days, Taylor's going to move out. And that is not going to be a happy day for me. I like my daughter. I like having her around. But she will move out on her own. You know, it's just what happens. When she does, that will free up another room, and maybe at that time I will expand into her area, maybe, or I don't know. I have some ideas on how to do some rearranging for that. So that's a possibility, something that might happen later on, but I'm not going to rush it, and I don't really feel any need to make any big changes around the house right now in order for me to have my own space. Because what I'm doing now, it's not exactly convenient or comfortable, but it works. And, you know, laying out a big piece of cardboard on the top of the bed, I've got a huge work surface there. I mean, that's like a big work table, and I like that. I can just spread out all over it. I do have to clean it all up when that room has to be used for a guest room, but, you know, that's not maybe 4 or 5 times a year. So, I don't mind making do with what I have for right now. You know, it is definitely more than a lot of people have as far as the space to work in goes. I know a lot of you are at a desk in the corner of the bedroom, or you know, you've got half the dining room table. So I don't dare complain about my space, because we all just have to work with what we got. Oh, here's another question from Terry Daly, D-A-L-Y, who asks, how on earth do you find the time to do everything you do? Are you a type A high energy person? Okay, yeah, I addressed that. Well, remember, I just want to remind everyone that no, I am not a type A high energy person. I want to remind you that I am narcoleptic, so I'm very sleepy all the time. Nothing looks better to me than a nap, ever, pretty much. And finding the time to do everything that I do, you know, I have, my life is really kind of sedate right now. It's calm. I have free time. I'm very aware that that could change at any given moment. So I'm taking advantage of it while I can. And, you know, I do my creating in the time that I have. But I do also do a lot of not creating in the time that I have. So yeah, these questions crack me up, because that illusion of productiveness must be a pretty darn good one, because I had no idea that it looked like I was that productive. I'm really not. I promise I'm not. Okay, I think that is most of the questions that I'm at least able to answer, but I need some things from a couple of people. I have a request, or 2, or 3, for, hang on, let me look, Nancy Collins, who lives in Florida, and for, give me a sec, Jean Bowden in Arkansas, Nancy and Jean, and Joy Meadows in Ohio. Nancy, Jean, and Joy, if you 3 would be willing to send me your mailing address, I'll send you a little something something. I don't know what, but I'll figure it out. You 3 were the most mature of everyone who left a comment, or at least you were the ones who fessed up to being the most mature. And I think that is so fun and so cool, and I appreciate that, so I want to send you a little something. So if you would, in the video description, I'll put my email address. You can email me your mailing address. You can send me a private message on YouTube if you prefer. Just, you know, either way, just send me your mailing address and I will have a little something for you. And, okay, there's a couple others I want to send something to. If your parents give you permission only, Sarah Kay in New England and Beauty in Paris 6. You 2 were among the youngest of those who responded, those who commented, and if it is okay with your parent or guardian for you to send me your mailing address, I would like to send you a little something as well. And I have one more. I just got to find her. Okay. I also have a request for Louie Lamb in the UK. You were the commenter who was the furthest away from me, according to Google Maps. I checked mileage. You were the furthest until I got a comment from Carolyn Rees, R-E-E-S, who is in New Zealand. And she actually ended up being the furthest away from me than everyone else. But I would like, if you're willing to send me your mailing addresses, both Louie Lamb and Carolyn Rees, if you would send those to me, again, through the private message or the email in the video description, I will get a little something together to send to y'all. So I would like to say a huge thanks to everyone for all your comments. Believe it or not, these really helped to pull me out of my funk. It just made me feel so much better just, you know, reading your comments, reading your opinions, going to all the channels that you recommended, and having fun with your questions. It really helped a lot. So, yeah, those people that I mentioned, if you would just, if you're willing to send me your mailing address, I'll send you a little card or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. And that's all I have for now. So we should just say an extra awkward the end.